only ones on Zoom. I don't like that.
So far.
There'll be more. There'll be more. People
We're
come
going live.
They'll be
Okay. All righty. Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and thank you for stepping away from the television station of your choice. This is an opportunity to sort of step away from all that's going on in our world. It's a night not to talk about presidents, but rather about a queen, about the Shabbat queen, and inviting her into our lives for a sense of peace. We turn to page 13. Let's begin with Shalom Aleichem, a prayer truly of peace. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Asharet, Malachi Ayon, Melech, Malachi Amlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Malachem leShalom, Malachi Ashalom, Malachi Ayon, Melech Malachi Amlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch Hu leShalom, Malachi Ashalom, Malachi Ayon, Melech Malachi Amlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Tzechem leShalom, Malachi Ashalom, Malachi Ayon, Melech Malachi Amlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. If you are watching online or if you're on YouTube, we need a minion here on Zoom. So if you have the opportunity and you feel that you look wonderful this evening and you'd like to share the glory, please join us on Zoom so that by the time we get to Baruch Hu, we can have a minion. We continue with page 15. Lekon niranina, lekon niranina, lekon niranina, lekon niranina, lekon niranina, lekon niranina, naria, naria, litzor yishenu, nikadma pana bitoda. Naria, naria, litzor yishenu, bezmiro naria lo, lekon niranina, lekon niranina, lekon niranina lanai, lekon niranina, lekon niranina, lekon niranina ladunai. Arba'im shana kol bedor v'amar am toile v'abhem v'im lo yadu dirachai asher nitbati v'apim yiron el menuchati Shiru l'Adonai, shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai, kol haaretz, shiru l'Adonai, baruchu shemo, basru miyom leyom yeshuato, sapru v'goyim kevodo, b'chol ha'amim nitve'otav. Ki gadol Adonai, u'mula me'od, norahu, al kol Elohim, yala, 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 Ya la la la, ya la la, ya la 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 la. Yismechu hashamayim, yismechu hashamayim, yismechu hashamayim, b'tagilaret, yiramayam, 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 umelo, yiramayam, 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 umelo. Yalo sadai b'kol asher bo az yiraminu kol ya'ar lifnei Adonai kiva kiva liporaret yishpot evel b'tzedek ve'amim be'emunato. Page 17. Adonai malach tevilah tzisuk. Or zaru ala tzadik ul yishrei lev simecha simecho tzadikim b'Adonai vehodu lezecher kodsho mizmor shir Adonai shir chadash ki niflot hasahu shiro yimino zroa kodsho. Chinuch Chosim Rabbi Chatzot Rabbi Choshev Hari Lifnei HaMelech Adonai Yiramayim Tevelir. Lifnei Adonai kiva lishporaret yishpot tevel b'tzedek v'yamim b'meisharim. Adonai malach yegazu amim yoshev keruvim tanut haaretz anavitzim gadol v'ram hu kol ha'amim yoshim gadol rav kadosh hu. Shmo korim el Adonai v'hu ya'anem ba'ama be'amud anan yidaber aleim. Romemo Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavo lehar kodsho. Romemo Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavo lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemo. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemo. Romemo Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavo lehar kodsho. Romemo Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavo lehar kodsho. Once again, if you are on live stream and you have the opportunity to join us here on Zoom and help us make a minyan, that would be wonderful. We'd appreciate it. We continue page 20. Mizmor leDavid, Havul Adonai b'nei Elim, Havul Adonai, Kavod va'od yalai, Havul Adonai kevod shemo yishachavul Adonai b'har kodesh, Kol Adonai al hamayim el hakavod yirim. Adonai hamayim ravim. Kol Adonai b'koach yalei. Kol Adonai Behadar kol Adonai shober arazim, v'shaber Adonai etadei halmanon, v'yarkidem kemo egel Levanon, v'Sirion kemo ben re'emim. Eloi, Kol Adonai Chotzev Lavot Esh, Kol Adonai Yachil Midbar, Yachil Adonai Midbar Kadesh, Kol Adonai Yechol El Yalor, Vayechesov Ye'aror, Uvehechalo, Kulo Omer Kavod, Adonai Lamabol Yad, Shava Yeshev Adonai, Melech Li'alam, Adonai Oz Le'amo Yitin, Adonai Yevarech Keramo Bashalom, Ya Elai, 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 Ya Elai, 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 Ya Elai, 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 Ya Elai, Elai, Elai. Page 21. Lechadodi likrat kala pinne Shabbat nikabela. Lechadodi likrat kala pinne Shabbat nikabela. Shamo v'zachor b'diborecha ishmianu. El meyuchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad l'shem u'tiferet v'liteila lechadodi likrat kala p'nei Shabbat nikabela likrat Shabbat lekov necha ki mekor habiracha merosh mikedem nesucha sof ma'aseh b'machshavat tchila lechadodi likrat kala p'nei Shabbat nikabela mikdash melech Ir melocha chomitzeim mitocha habecha rabelach shevet bi'imek habacha hu yachamol alaychem lechadodi likrat kala p'nei Shabbat nikabela Inari me'aparko milivshibideti partechami al yad b'nishai bet halachmi koreva nafshi ge'ala lechadodi likrat kala p'nei Shabbat nikabela Hitoreri kiva ore komi ori shir daberi kivod Adonai alayik migla lechadodi likrat kala p'nei Shabbat nikabela Boi v'shalom ateret kala gam besimcha Ovetzola tochemone am segula boi chala lechadodi likrat kala p'nei Shabbat nikabela. Psalm for Shabbat, page 23. Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbat. Tzadik ata yifrach ki erez balvanon yizgeshitolim bevet Adonai bechatrot Eloheinu Od yenovon besevad shenim v'rananim Yashar Adonai Tori Velo Avlatabo Adonai Malaki Lavish Havish Adonai Otis Zaraftikum Lam Nis Une Dochiami Kolomaim Rabim Adirim Shpereyam Erotecha Nemenu Maulavircha Nava Kodesh Adonai Liorech Yamim. Find ourselves without a minion, and so we're going to jump ahead to page 28.
Oh, we've got a minion now.
Here on we have a minion. Okay, thank you. All right, Mourner's Kaddish can be found on page 24.
Yitkedah v'yitkedah Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'yomad yivrach Yerutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yomeichon v'chayei l'chol Beit Yisrael v'hagala b'zman karev v'yimru Amen.
Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mevarach v'yalam elamei hayah.
Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitrama v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal Shemei d'kudsha v'yichud. Ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata damiran v'yoma v'yimru Amen.
Amen.
Yehi Shlomo Rabba min Shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru Amen.
Amen.
Yaseh shalom b'yiramav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru Amen.
Amen. We turn to page 28. Ma'ariv, we rise for the Baruch. Baruchu et Adonai Amivorach. Baruch Adonai Amivorach li'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bivaro ma'ariv ha'orim b'chochma potech she'arim v'yom. Oriyum v'la legolelu mipnei choshech ve'choshech u'mipnei or. U'mavir yom u'mevir layla u'mavir ben yom u'ben layla Adonai tzvaot shemo El Chai v'kayam et hamid yimlach aleinu li'olam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai Ha'ariv Aravim. 29. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amcha ahavta Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadita Akin Adonai Eloheinu v'shodvenu v'kumenu nasiach b'chukecha v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha u'v'mitzvotecha li'olam va'ed Ki hem chayenu v'yorech yamenu v'yorech yamenu uvahem nege yomam v'layla yomam v'layla Yahavatecha al tasir mimenu li'olamim Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, ושבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאותה ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. We continue silently, pages 30 and 31. והים שמות תשמעו את השמות ומתבאתכם ונתתי מתארצכם ואיתו ירם וחשפתכם לכתיר שהוא יצרך יחרף הנפק מיצן השמיים ולהים את הבדם ולכתם השמקום מקנה וכתבתם על מזו פתק ובשק על מים בוימך לאדם אשר נשבע אדוני לבתיק לתת להם כמי השמיים על הארץ ויאמר אדוני משה לאמור דבר על בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם ויעשו להם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתיכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם אמת ויאמר כזאת וקיים עלינו כי הוא אדוני אלוהים ויהיה נצוות הבנת ישראל ומאהבת אדוני ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה ובני ישראל לחנו שירה בשמחה רבה ויאמרו כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נדר בקודש נורתי לא רוסף אלה מלכותך ראו בניך בוקע ים לפני משה זה אלינו ויאמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר כי ודע אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גא ישראל. Page 33. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ברוך אתה אדוני הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל יא ירושלים ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל Oti le'olam, Oti le'olam, Oti le'olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asor et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. יתקדש מרבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי, וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון, וכידך בית ישראל, בגלה בגלה, ובזמן קריב יאמרו אמן. יהי שמירה במברך, לעולם עולם עמיה, יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, יתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי לקודשה בריחו, לילה מנחה ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תמירן בעלמא, יאמרו Amen. A moment for silent reflection, the words of the Amidah, page 35. Ose shalom bimromav, Hoyase shalom aleinu, V'yarko Yisrael, V'yimro amen. Yase shalom, shalom aleinu, V'yarko Yisrael, Yase shalom, shalom aleinu, Yako Yisrael. Yase shalom, shalom aleinu, Yako Yisrael. Yase shalom, shalom aleinu, Yako Yisrael v'imero amen. Shabbat Shalom. In last week's Torah portion, Abraham left Canaan shortly after arriving because of a famine, and he went down to Egypt where, because of the Nile River, there was always food. In Egypt, his wife Sarah was abducted by Pharaoh as a result of her incredible beauty. After being struck by a plague from God, Pharaoh returns Sarah, and Abraham leaves Egypt quickly, as the Torah puts it, very heavy with cattle, silver, and with gold that Pharaoh had given him. Can you imagine how Abraham must have felt? Must have been really a sense of mixed emotions. He's grateful to leave Egypt with everyone intact, but now he's very rich. There's a midrash that tells us that Abraham was so poor that when he went down to Egypt, he could not pay the innkeepers on the way and had to ask for food on credit. And yet, as he left Egypt, he must have felt like he had just won the Mega Millions lottery. Speaking of lotteries, let me ask you, how many of you bought a ticket for the Mega Millions lottery recently? And how many of you have won? I imagine the answer to that one is a giant zero. What is the Mega Millions lottery? 44 states have come together for a combined lottery so that they could increase the payout and attract more people to buy a ticket. It can grow very quickly into hundreds of millions of dollars, or a recent lottery that reached $1.6 billion. And when that happens, people line up by the tens of thousands to buy a ticket. What I find personally hard to understand is that in most states, a winning ticket just for that state alone can be a prize of $10 to $20 million or so. Apparently that doesn't do it for many people. Me personally, I could do it with 5 million, throw it my way and I'll be happy. So the question is why? Why do we need to increase the payout to that degree? They say, as a matter of fact, there's more chance of dying on the way to buy the Mega Millions ticket than to actually win. So the question I ask is, does Judaism permit one to buy a lottery ticket? And the answer is that gambling is permitted in Jewish law for recreational purposes, certainly not to earn a living, because being a gambler, a professional gambler, can be detrimental to one's soul, to the soul's spiritual health. And also, and I love this, this is great, one should not buy more than one lottery ticket because it would indicate a lack of faith in God. If God wants you to win, one ticket should be enough. My favorite lottery story is of a miser who would bet $10 every week on the lottery. Finally, one day he won, and the prize was $100 million. His wife, who checked the tickets and knew that he had won, was worried about how to break the news to him, for she knew that he had a serious heart condition. So as the story goes, she goes to the rabbi and she asked the rabbi to tell him the news. But she warned him, be very careful because of her husband's heart condition. She told him, talk about the weather, talk about sports, talk about the shul, gradually work up to the topic of the lottery. So this is what the rabbi did. He talked about sports, he talked about the weather, he talked about the shul, and then he said, tell me, Jake, I hear that you play the lottery. Is that true? Yep, said Jake, every single week. And how much do you play for? Asked the rabbi. $10 every week, said Jake. Tell me, Jake, what would you do if you won $100 million? Well, I'd give it all to the shul, said Jake. And the rabbi had a heart attack. I think buying a lottery ticket may in fact be a good thing, because what it does is it lifts the spirits of everyone who plays. It gives them a sense of hope. It gives them a license to dream, to ask important questions, and to reflect in a meaningful way. Once you buy a ticket, you invariably ask yourself, what would I do with the money if I won? Would you continue to work? And if not, what would you do with your newfound time? Would you build an addition to a new social hall for the synagogue? How much would you give to tzedakah? Would you buy a new home, a new limousine? In short, buying a lottery ticket forces you to ask the question, what would you change about your life? These are not easy questions to answer, and they require a serious sense of soul searching. If you think that if you won the lottery, you would stop working immediately, what does that say about what you do? Do you work just for the money, or is what you do a profession or a calling, or making a contribution to society? If winning the lottery meant quitting your job and having more time to spend, how would you spend it? With your family, exercising, learning Torah, volunteering? In short, the question becomes, what really matters to you? And if it's truly important, if you can define it that that's what you would do with the money, that's what it would enable, why not find the time to do it now? Why buy a lottery ticket when the chances of winning are less than being hit by lightning? You see, without the ticket, without that ticket in your hand, you'll probably never ask yourself these questions. And what could be a more valuable use of a couple dollars, a small amount to pay for the license to dream? So you didn't win the Mega Millions lottery last week. But just like Abraham who left Egypt with cattle, with gold, with silver. And in this week's Parsha, like Abraham and Sarah, who are blessed with a child in their old age, we have each won God's lottery. God has blessed us with many, many things. And let me suggest that we spend some time reflecting how to spend the rest of our lives and the differences we'd like to make, whether we win the Mega Millions lottery or not. That's the goal. That is the hope. It gives us hope. Shabbat Shalom. We're going to turn back in our Sidurim. We continue on page 47. ויכולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם ויכל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה ויפות ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו Avotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, V'Hanora, El Elyon, Koni Shamayim Va'aretz. Magin Avot Bidvaro, Mechayim Etim B'mamaro, Ha'el HaKadosh Ein Kamohu, Hameniach Li'amo, B'yom Shabbat Kodsho, Kivam Ratza Le'aniach Lahem, Kivam Ratza Le'aniach Lahem, Lifanav Nabod B'irav Ha'pachad, V'nodeh Lishmo B'chol Yom Tamid, Mein HaBrachot, El HaOgaor Adon HaShalom, Mekadesh HaShabbat Umbarek Shevi, Umeniach B'Kedusha, V'yamedu Shnei Yoneg, Zecher Lemase V'Reshit. Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu, Retzei v'imnuchatenu, Kachenu b'mitzvotecha, v'ten chalkenu b'toratecha, Sabenu mitovecha, v'samchenu b'shuatecha, v'taher libeinu, Niyodecha be'emet v'hankilenu, Adonai Eloheinu, v'yavav ratzon, Shabbat kodshecha, v'yanuchu ba'Yisrael, Mikadesh Shemecha, Baruch Ata Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Yitkara v'yikara Shemei Rabba, Me'miyam Hadivra Kirute v'yamlich Malchute, B'chayechon u'v'yamechon u'b'chayerecho Beit Yisrael, B'agala u'v'zman karev yimeru, Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mivarach, Le'alam olam Yomaya, Yitbarach, Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalash merkudesha b'recho li'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tifchata v'nechmata damiran v'yalama v'yimeru amen. Tikabat zilot honu va'ud decho Yisroel kodam au v'shmaya v'yimeru amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'chayim Aleinu V'Yakol Yisrael Yimeru Amen. Ose Shalom Bimromav Uyase Shalom Aleinu V'Yakol Yisrael Yimeru Amen. Turn to page 49, Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodesho b'yavau v'ratzon inchilanu. Zikaron Maaseh Bereshit כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר יציאת מצרים, כי בנו בקרת, אותנו קידשת, מכל העמים, בשבת קודשך, באהבה וברצון המחלתנו, ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. L'chaim. We continue on page 51. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמטבעות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ככתוב בתורתך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו This Shabbat, our hearts go out to the families of Doris Gruskin, Cecily Sherbel, Marcia Burney, and Mara Ruda. We're observing the yurtzites of Martha Baker, Eli Bensky, Harry Cohen, Barbara Conaway, Rosie Wurzburg Den, Wolf Einstein, Irving Feld, Benjamin Friedland, Joseph Goldstein, Edna Gottlieb, Gay Jokal Greenspan, Uzi Halevi, Paula Cantor, Maya Kirstein, Billy Kasofsky, Ann Magzin, Sadie Nadell, Bernard Resnick, Shirley Richmond, Sam Robinson, Stanford Shep Rosen, Julius Shack, Julius Serchik, Leon Slotko, Simon Susan, Sarah Lee Titel, Estelle Tozier, and Samuel Weisfeld. All those in a period of mourning, all those observing yahrzeit, words of Kaddish, page 52.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah.
Amen.
Yomad yivrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon v'yamaychon b'chayei d'kol beit Yisrael b'agalav yizman kari v'yimru amen.
Amen.
Shmei rabbah v'barach v'olam omer maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpahar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei d'kudshah v'yichud. Va'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tush berchata v'nechamata damiram b'yomah v'yimru amen.
Amen.
Yehi shalom rabba min shemayim v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen.
Amen.
Aseh shalom b'mamav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen.
Amen. Amen. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Tomorrow morning services are at 9:30. We were going to have a speaker from JFS who's going to share with us ways to cope with the anxieties of all the special events going on in our lives at this point. And so we look forward to hearing from him about tools that each of us can embrace in this process. I spoke about hope, and therefore it makes sense to me that we conclude with the words of Hatikva, the hope. page 395. All balev apnima nefesh Yehudi homia ufatem yizrakadima in Letzion Sophia od lagati gatenu hatir labach no dabayim liotam choshi be'artzenu Eretz Zion Yerushalayim Liotam Chofshi Be'artzenu Eretz Zion Yerushalayim. We ask everyone to reach out to those in the room, to reach out to those who are nearby, to reach out to all others in the community, and we'll conclude by extending the priestly blessing. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichonecha.
Yehi Ratzon.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
Yehi Ratzon.
A week of health, a week of peace, and we look forward to seeing everybody tomorrow morning. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Thank you. Shabbat shalom.
Thank you.
everybody. Good to see y'all.
A pleasure.
Yeah.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, Mark.